What's up, everyone? This is Andrew Berman from NMP TV. With me, I've got Alec Hanson, Senior Vice President, LoanDepot. Alec, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
so
man.
Awesome to have you on here.
I'm super. I got your invite, and I'm stoked to be here. There's so much fun stuff happening right now.
Yeah, it's listen. I mean, it's so cool when I get to have someone like yourself who's like an accomplished broadcaster, and I want to get into that. Like, I want to understand, because you have this amazing personality, and I want to know where you developed that. I want to get actually an understanding of that. But before we go into that, then we're going to go actually about we're going to obviously. Mortgage Leadership Outlook was started, at the beginning of this year. We met with some of the greatest leaders, like yourself in this industry, talking about, how do we deal with, this new way of doing business. So we're going to talk about actually how you transformed your business or transformed, the business and the loan officers that you work with, and are just inspired by your message. I mean, you wrote a book this year. Oh, hold on for a sec. Since I mentioned the book, let's do a little shameless promotion for your book there. Everyone, check that out. Make sure you get that. I'll be flashing it up here a couple of times to this. But first off, let's go back to the history. So you started as an originator. You weren't always Senior Vice President for LoanDepot and executives at Mortgage Space. So talk to us about how you got started in this business, Alec.
I asked my dad for a job when I was at college. And I ended up shipping loan files in downtown Oakland. So I'd go in there once a week part-time while I was in school, and I would ship loan files. And then I decided that I'd stay up at school up in NorCal for the summer, do one of that, not come back, that kind of thing. And I ended up working as a processor 3 in a regional operations center for Countrywide, and I ordered appraisals. I took the actual paper file, I typed the credit card in, I ordered the appraisal, and I sent it to the processor 2 next to me. That's like the worst job in the world.
So listen, and working for Countrywide had this reputation of being called country fried. Because everyone you worked at is super fast paced. You made good money, but you were expected to do unbelievable things and work harder than any other company. Would you say was that reputation do you feel that that's accurate with the reputation?
It's crazy. Countrywide had such an evolution, So when I started, it was in strip malls. Angelo Mazzillo was like, loan officers are terrible people. And the branch manager was an underwriter. And his vision was you would go into the strip mall where all the people were shopping, and you go talk to an underwriter, not a loan officer, and they do your deal. And that's how, and then from there it went into, I guess I do need loan officers. And so when I started, we did have loan officers, but I was like after school, and I graduated and I moved back to Southern California. I literally was what they call an internal loan consultant. I sat in the receptionist desk, and I got paid to do HELOCs for $90 a loan doing HELOCs. And literally families would come in with their groceries from Whole Foods, which were right next to us. So lunch was easy. And they would be like, I think I need a HELOC. And I'd be like, great, fill this out. And it was hysterical. So I don't know. I got really lucky at Countrywide. I got set up with a really great mentor. And I think in our business, if you get set up with the right mentors, it can really catapult your career. And in 2003, we were having a mega refi boom. Massive. Yeah. It's one of the biggest funding years in the industry at all. And I was sitting there just starting in the business, and my manager said, you need to leave every single day and don't come back until you have 8 business cards from realtors. So this is the time when people were leaving college and going into call centers, and the straight up boiler room stuff was happening. And I'm running around with my Honda Civic and my crappy suit, banging my face into realtors open house. But it set me up to tons of success later as the refi market shifted. It became more purchase centric. I had spent 3 years building relationships with agents, and so it really had catapulted my career.
So, but when was the point that you went from from just being a job? Was it when you were a processor? Was it what was the point actually where you actually loved the business? Where you because it's clear you love this business. There's no question about it. You've got this infectious passion about the industry. That's why you're an NMP 40 under 40. That's why people love and actually sing your praises. But tell us actually, when did it go from hey, it's good actually good little way to get money to oh my goodness, this is me and my life.
I had several aha moments. The biggest one, I'm a very competitive guy. I played sports through high school and college. I like to win. I like to compete. I like the leaderboard. I like all that stuff. And obviously in a sales centric environment where you're commission based and you're crazy, you get to try to live your life that way. And it's I get a fulfillment there. But I mean, I had this moment where I walked into the office at 8:15 or something. No one was there. And this is like, I'm brand new loan officer. I'm like, no, why is no one here at 8:15? And I'm 23. I don't know. I figured work starts at 8. And then then people start showing up around 10, rolling in. And I'm like, what is going on? And this is when I moved to a new office and became a loan officer. I moved Southern California, from Mission Viejo to Newport Beach, whatever. New office, new team, full loan officer on my own. And no one's there. And then at the end of at 3:00, Andrew, they're all gone. Everyone's gone. Except for the processing underwriters. And I'm like, what is going on? Where are these people? They're just day drinking. They don't start till 10 and they leave
probably.
And I'm like, I'm going to bury all of these people. Because I joke, but I also get excited. This is the only industry where you can live an entrepreneurial spirit. You can have that fulfillment. The sky's the limit. You can create whatever you want. It's a white canvas. And to me, that's so fun. The harder I work, the more I get rewarded. Yes, please, that, not an 8 to 5 where I just clock out and I can work as hard as the next guy, but we both walk home with the same paycheck. You get to design your own business, design your own life. This industry is a gem. It's a gem.
Yeah. Yeah. You decide what next month is going to look like. You decide, actually say, hey, listen, you know something? We want to take actually a 2-week cruise around the Mediterranean. Well, guess what? Next week I'm gonna make sure we got enough cash coming in so we could do that. You decide, and your the output of what you do is putting people in homes, filling a dream that they've had. I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah. Then you get the altruism side, right, where you're actually helping people with this massive decision. You're doing God's work. And if you like problem solving, every single deal is different. Every single family and transaction is different. So you get to creatively problem solve at the same time. And I'm like, wow, that's checking all the boxes for me.
That's awesome. So, all right. But let's talk about it. So you were a top 1% loan officer. Okay. Forget about this year. Normally, rarefied air is 100 deals. Actually, if you do 100 deals, we know 100 people doing 100 deals a month now. But if you did 100 deals or more, that was rarefied air. You considered pretty successful. But normal conditions, putting this year and potentially next year aside, what separates the originators that just do 2, 3, 5 deals from those that are actually able to produce consistently 100 loans a year? Again, not 2020, 2021 standards.
For sure. I mean, some of it's mindset and willpower. Our business is hard. You've got to push through. And I think you actually can see it now, Andrew. If you look around, you can tell who the great originators are because they're continuing to work on skills that are going to benefit them in the long run. Sure, they're scooping up refinancing because if they're successful, they should have a past customer base. They should be doing refinances. Why would you not help your own customers better their finances? But they're still building brand. They're still doing a ton of purchase business. They're not forsaking that. Their eyes focused on the future. You can see them. And then the guys that have disappeared and they're not on social media anymore and they're just ghosts, you can tell those guys are just grabbing money and trying to do as many refis as they can. And when the water goes out, everyone's going to see that they're naked and it's not going to be good.
Interesting. So this is not a time to. So how do you do all that? What you just said is basically you have to do your regular job in addition to doing we just in National Mortgage Professional Magazine, the article today, refinances are up 80%. Okay, 80% over the previous year. So how do you do that? How do you actually do what your normal job is, which is basically kind of going out there proactively finding new business client, making sure you're maintaining, in addition to doing 80% more refis, all more purchases. How can you manage all that?
Yeah, and still get on video every day and do social media, right? This is how
is that possible?
I think of it like this way. Number one, what everyone forgets is the harder you work, you build musculature and you actually work more effectively and better over time. So yes, you can burn the candles for both ends, so to speak. But what's happening is you're getting stronger mentally, you're getting stronger with execution. And so you're becoming more efficient. So yes, I think some people are raising their game for sure. I think that we realize that we have lots of dead time in our day. And no one likes to hear that. They're like, oh, I'm so busy. And I'm like, if I sat behind you all day long, how many times would you be doing nothing? And that's not terrible. We need self-care. Sometimes we need to do nothing, right? When we went and worked from home, I realized that first week I was just sitting at the desk for like 10 hours at my house. I'm like, oh, I got to take breaks. Like I'll kill myself.
It was too easy. Yeah.
And so I think we get stronger. I think the best people in the business figure out how to navigate it with infrastructure. They find people, they hire resources, they figure out the influx of business, influx of cash. Maybe I should invest this in my business and hire more support with my money, with my earnings to figure out how to play the game better. And they learn how to scale and they seek efficiencies, whether that's in office flow, technologies, and we become better.
Yeah. Better because we're listen, this year, you'll love this analogy. This year, like normally we're like, regular, it's like going to the gym. This year we're like in CrossFit, right?
Dude, I
this
feel
like
hard, and it hurts. You get stronger and you get better and it becomes easier. And then all of a sudden you realize like you just elevated your game and you have more capacity as a human now. I think that happens. I think we evolve. I think we're strong.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so, all right. So, all right, let's go back to the beginning of this year. There's a lot of companies, a lot of individuals that didn't have a digitally focused business, and you wrote a book. I don't know actually if was this book in the works before COVID hit. Like when did this idea come up, and like tell us the genesis of this book and like the whole philosophy behind bypassed a modern guide for local mortgage pros left behind by digital mortgage consumer.
Yep.
You gotta take a breath halfway through your title.
I had to get it all out there. Here's the
that's what it is. I love it.
In 2018, I started this in 2018. And in 2018, what people forget is we started to have massive margin compression and pain in 2018. Yeah. That was the year that Lennar sold their retail mortgage company. That was the year Provident Funding just shut down their retail company in Southern California. There was exodus happening. We were in what I've been calling, which has never happened yet because COVID came, but we were in the great consolidation where these 500,000 mortgage companies that are funding $1 billion realizes I can't play anymore and I've got to consolidate. It was happening. At the same time, the other major trend that was happening was consumers, you, me, everybody, is going online first for everything. We're an internet first society. We go on there for reviews. We go on there to buy our stuff. We go on there to research movies. We don't ask friends anymore. We don't get referrals anymore. We go online. And that is starting to carry more and more weight every single day. And I looked around and went, the number one lender in the country is a digital lender with no local pros. Weird. And this trend is happening where we're spending more and more time on our screens, more and more time on our phones, more and more time online. And I looked at all my local pros, people just like me, mortgage professionals that have driven around the streets, knew all the realtors, played all the game. And I'm like, we're screwed. In the long run, we're screwed unless we figure out how to change our behavior, unless we figure out how to start playing where the human beings are on the phone, on the digital space, in social media. If we don't figure out how to play there, earn brand or earn reputation or earn headspace, then you're not going to have a job. Because these other mega companies and the mega brands, their job is to build so much trust in their ubiquitous brand and dehumanize the process. Take the human out. You can just replace them with anybody. And you're going to get your loan from the big brand. So I saw all this happening and I go, hey, the local people got to figure out what to do. We have to. And I mean, we collectively, like I have to figure out my stuff. Everyone has to figure this out. And I started writing the book. COVID happens. The book was done. And it's coming out. I had to redo the forward on it because COVID had hit at that point. And the greatest single blessing of COVID, Andrew, of all time is the fact that it sucked the water out of our industry and exposed everybody for not having any digital presence. Exposed everybody. We had to go digital. It's the greatest thing that happened to local pros in our business, period, of COVID. Really? Because it forced everybody to figure it out. Yeah. It was like the credit crisis. The credit crisis in 2008 forced loan officers to figure it out. It wiped through everybody. COVID did the same thing, and you can see who's trying to figure it out or not. And you made a funny comment, Andrew, about me being all digital and broadcasting and stuff. Dude, I didn't even start this game until middle of last year when I did my stupid 100 videos in 100 days challenge. I wasn't even playing on social media. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have anything. It's been less than a year.
Okay. So hold on for a second. Now, but did you do anything on camera? Was there actually, so are you going to tell me actually like a year ago, was the first time you bought actually a webcam and a fancy studio mic? I mean, like, is that really what we're talking about?
In fact, a year ago, I have yes and no. So I'll give you both answers. So a year ago, I didn't have a studio. I had my office webcam, which I'm using a nice camera now, but I had a webcam and I had a Yeti mic, the $200 Yeti blue mic, right? This thing.
Yeah.
This is all I had, right? And my phone. And I filmed most of the 100 videos on my phone, just using my phone on a tripod.
Yeah.
So I everything else, the nice mic, the nice camera, that's come over evolution of like learning, like, how do I make this better? How do I up my game? But it doesn't start that way for sure. The other thing though, that no one ever is going to realize that that it's practice. So here's how I inadvertently practiced in 2000 and I want to say 5, could have been 4.
Yeah.
5. I started this insane, I don't even know why. I look back, I'm like, why did I do this? I don't even know. I took my iPhone, I put it on a little thing on my dashboard in my car, and I recorded myself driving to work, and I just would give a stream of consciousness style, thought of the day. And
okay,
I'd film myself and I uploaded it to YouTube. It's still there.
But before you go, give me an example of like what would be one of the things that you would have said.
So I remember a ton of them. They're all like life lessons. Like I have a joke that it's a terrible analogy, but when you're feeling overwhelmed, right? Someone told me this. When you're feeling overwhelmed, think of it like a log of salami. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean when you're feeling overwhelmed? And they're like, well, have you ever tried to eat a log of salami? And I'm like, well, no, because it's just this giant like piece of meat. Like, and he goes, well, have you ever eaten the little thin slices of salami that come in the bags? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go through a bag of that without even thinking. Well, that's the deal. You got to cut it up into small bites. And if you cut it up into small bites, you can take care of any problem. And so I would talk about the salami log challenge. I would talk about how to set your day up correctly. I would talk about, what's happening in the work world, what's happening in CrossFit that day, what life lesson did I learn yesterday? It's all stream of consciousness. Just whatever's going on, I would talk about it. Andrew, I did almost 300 of these videos. Almost 300 of these drive times are on YouTube still. 300.
Wow.
So you know what that is? It's reps, putting in the reps. I was practicing on camera without even realizing it would pay off. I thought it was a stupid, like, I'm just going to do this self-expression, some weird, no one watched them. Like, who's going to watch this? No one but all of a sudden, I realize now when I started doing the 100 videos and all these other things, I'm like, oh man, I've practiced so much of this. Like I've practiced looking into the camera. I've practiced it. And so I'm more comfortable. Shocker. Like you get more comfortable when you practice things.
Yeah. So now, okay. So let's go back to the first video, the first drive video. Like how many people were watching it?
None. I mean, I posted it to Facebook. I was like, hey, here's my drive time today. And then people would make fun of me, and that's fine. I mean, you can't make fun of me if I make fun of myself. So, I would just, and then people, eventually, I actually had people that were liked drive time. They were like random YouTube people were like, I missed this show. When are you coming back? And I'm like, never come back. But
that's awesome,
Andrew. I still coach people today. Like, even if you're not going to post it anywhere, that practice of putting the camera on, hitting record, and talking. And trying to get a thought out, a cohesive thought out, is practice. It's going to help you in the long run.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Listen, a public example that we could see is so Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, my man.
Actually, his first wine library video.
Yep.
I mean, listen, it wasn't bad, but
yes, it was.
That one compared to
it was
relatively speaking, it was crap. But I mean, relative to most of the people that are going to watch this, if they could actually come out with and be in a couple of years, be at where Gary was on the first one, they'd be doing great. but it's reps. It's reps. Putting actually the time in, you're going to get better and better and better. Maybe you're gonna piss people off. Maybe you're gonna actually turn people off. Maybe, but you're also gonna find actually people that are more in sync with what's going on inside your mind, and they're gonna feel connected to you, and they're gonna look out for you. And who knows? Maybe that random person actually in YouTube in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that you never actually thought you'd connect with, all of a sudden says, "Hey, listen, I'm thinking about actually, purchasing my first home." So
Dude,
I love it, man.
I had this other epiphany, Andrew, where I realized I connected something. The dots connected, right? It's so fun when all of a sudden the dots connected. My origination strategy was relentless, face-to-face, like pop buys. So every Thursday, every Friday, I was at broker preview, and every Saturday and Sunday, I was at open houses, targeting the top agents and walking in, being like, "Andrew, what's up? It's Alec. Nice to see you again. How's the day? How's the house? Great listing." To the point of annoying people, right? Who are like, "Alec, don't come here anymore. I'm not going to use you. I don't like you." Okay.
Wow.
Self-selecting out. But to the point of where all of a sudden I became friends with agents. They knew me. I was not a threat anymore. I could actually ask them like, "Hey, would you ever consider using me?" And that wasn't weird because we had spent 6 months of hanging out at networking events and open houses, and we could actually have those authentic conversations. That prospecting, that marketing, I used to hear all the time. "Alec, I see you everywhere. I see you freaking everywhere. Your mailer's in my box every month. You're at every event. You're always here. You're the affiliate of the year." And then I went, "Oh my God, the same opportunity is happening right now digitally. The same thing is happening right here in this space, in these boxes." And I go, why am I not playing the same game? Why are my loan officers not playing the same game? Because this is all prospecting and marketing now. This is it. It's crazy, but the opportunity is unbelievable.
All right, so Alec, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You work for the big giant LoanDepot that has amazing resources, supports their loan officers amazingly. Like when you work for LoanDepot, it's just like, like there's so much support that you guys get. There's a lot of people that are watching this that are independent brokers that are out there. They're just on their own. So talk to us actually about actually how how they actually have the same access to all the same stuff that you have access to.
Yeah, well, and first of all, by the way, I know LoanDepot is this big old giant company, and then I laugh hysterically because Countrywide was big. LoanDepot is like 2% market share. So when I'm Countrywide side, and there's a LoanDepot across from a LoanDepot, like we can talk about it. But like anyway, but I do get that excuse, Andrew, of like, well, like LoanDepot must be editing all your content, doing all this. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I filmed all my 100 videos on my own phone, my iPhone, using an app called Vlog Easy. I've done a billion videos about this. You can download it yourself. I did it all myself. I edited it all myself. I've done podcast episodes where I'm like, here's how you run a podcast. It's so easy. Here's the technology you can use. Here's how you go live. I've done demos on here's how you use StreamYard, which is what you're using, which I love. It's not
so
like
easy.
All of this stuff. It's just Google it. Like all of human knowledge is in your hand. Like just use it.
And do it. There's something. What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that could possibly happen if you start recording your drive time videos with that stream of consciousness? What's the worst thing that could happen?
I know it. I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
A loved one of yours is going to make fun of you or mock you and hurt your feelings. Dead serious.
Did that happen to you?
That pops out of the internet and starts making fun of you. That doesn't happen until you're like Gary Vee status. What happens is... I was going to say, dude, I love it. What happens is your spouse, a friend, someone you care about and you respect mocks you or says this isn't you or jabs you either out of jealousy or out of their own misunderstanding of what this whole space is. And they tear you down on the inside. And that is the worst thing that will happen. As soon as you through that, it's all nothing. It's amazing. You realize this whole thing's amazing. I'm watching people take digital journeys and it's unbelievable.
Wow. So did you forgive your mom after she did that?
No, because I had already broken my family. They knew I was a maniac. Well, he's doing something crazy now. So I already broke through that years ago.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it, man. Some great advice here, man. So listen, I mean, it's just as simple as just start doing it. You don't need to to get fancy. But let's say there are some people that just want to have gear to have some level of confidence.
Yes.
You mentioned so talk about what are some of the like if you want something, if you want to do something, to go a step above holding your iPhone like this, like what is actually the vlogger starter kit?
Well, so I have a couple ways I push people on this, Andrew. And the first thing that they have to understand is you have to start playing the game first. Play the game. Play the game. Turn on your iPhone, put a light in your face, play the game. And then they go, okay. And the next step is let's up your game. So what kind of lighting are you using? Where's the camera angle? I cannot tell you how many people film with the camera angle right up in their nose. And I'm like, don't do that. Like put it at eye level. Put it like, so there's some basics, right? From camera angle to lighting. And then you realize, I'm just showing up in like a t-shirt, but I want to show up in like a badass custom suit, right? If you equate this to attire, we can start understanding it. It's like going to a business meeting in sweats versus going to a business meeting in a suit. So if you want to come in a suit, you start investing in quality audio. You start investing in quality cameras, because now I want to come and I want my message to be clear. I want to show up well. I respect you in the space, and I'm going to show up in a way that shows that. And this is called buying a custom suit. And if you buy a custom suit, you're going to buy the $400 Canon camera, and you're going to buy the $350 Shure mic. But you don't need to have the custom suit. You can have the nice suit, which is a Logitech 1080p webcam, right? Straight up $70, all good. The Yeti microphone, this baby is like $200, right?
Yeah.
All good. And if you have this lighting and the Logitech, you're crushing it. You're crushing everybody out there. You're going to look amazing. You're going to sound amazing, as long as you remember that the mic needs to be in your mouth. Dude, so many people put the mic here and they're like, I'm so excited to be here. And I'm like, I can't hear you. What? I can't. I want to hear you. Like, come on.
Yeah. And especially with that blue mic, you got to make sure you watch those settings.
Yeah.
That's always
hit the Google. How do I set up the Yeti mic? What's the gain mean? I didn't know what that crap meant. I was like, what's gain? So, you just start pushing buttons and you start realizing, okay, I can continue. Oh, Sean, my man. Yeah, dude.
What's up, brother?
But this is also something that is a little bit of a problem. And the problem, Andrew, is that it was cute when you couldn't operate Zoom well in the beginning of COVID. It was, you couldn't figure out your camera. You're muted. You had a bad lighting, bad angles. That was cute. Yeah. It's not cute anymore, bro. Figure out the game or disconnect. Yeah. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. Like, if you're learning, learn. That's great. But at some point, like the flag, the red flag that everyone needs to see right now is like, this stuff matters now. And if I can't hear you, see you, if you're not clear, your message is being discredited by me. And think about all the consumers out there that you're trying to influence or hang out with or show up for. And if you're not clear, if your camera's shaky, if your message is being discredited. So there's a lesson there. But I don't want to start there, because that normally freaks people out and they do nothing. I'm like, doing nothing is not acceptable. That means you lose anyway. But that's
100%. It's do something, even if it's just putting actually your phone up. Actually, I think that's important. We got a message from Mike McAllister. Love the message. Stop resisting change and take control of your business. Yes, 100%, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate you commenting on that.
Well, Andrew, here's the parallel, right? Here's the parallel that old school people like me would understand. When I walked in to prospect the top 1% realtor in a market and introduce myself and try to earn their business, I sucked at it. I wasn't good. I didn't walk into an open house and they just laid down and like, oh, thank God, you're here, Alec. Here's a deal. Like, that never happened. So like your first video, your first podcast is never going to be good.
Yeah. You just keep doing it. Keep doing it. No one's going to listen to it. You're first, actually, if you look, actually, iTunes or the podcast app is filled with a ton of podcasts that started, and maybe there's 4 or 5 episodes, and you just got to keep going at it. No one's going to pay attention to you at first. You just keep doing it and doing it, and you just build the following.
It's the same thing, Andrew. You walk into an open house with the agent. Are they going to give you business day one? No. If you walk in 4 times, they're going to give you business on the 4th time. How many times do you need to go meet that agent at a house, or send them a mailer, or call them? How many times? And the answer is a lot of time.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a podcast or a video series or an educational series, how many times do you need to do it? Like the answer is the same. So like, why do we understand one vehicle, but when we put it in digital, we're like, oh no, that doesn't work. I did a video and I did not get leads. Like, you're an idiot. It's not how it works. And you have to realize you're not famous. So like, I have a very clear understanding that when I go live, the world doesn't stop and is like, holy crap, thank God Alec's podcast was very like, they don't care. They're closing loans. They're stressed. They're busy. Their kid just
we care. Alec, we care. We care when you go live. Okay, so
I mean, someone cares, and they'll care more over time. You feel me, right? Like, it's not I did a video and now I have influence. Yeah, Joel's nailing it. Like,
success the product of doing it until you get it right. Yeah. Yep. I love that. That's great. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my arm here.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, I'm Jewish, so I can't. My dad, that's Joel. He'll kick my ass. So, dude, awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time, dropping some knowledge, sharing, what it was like to go through the digital transformation. So the fact is that you just got to start picking up the phone, get comfortable using this new technology. Any closing message? And actually, before we get out of here, let me make sure I drop again. Please check out Alec's book. Please, right there. It's right on Amazon. Quick, easy read. Really, just it's great. If you're an originator, it's a required read. But definitely, even if you're not an originator, it's some stuff. It's good things to get out of it.
So Andrew, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's super fun. The book, 100% of the proceeds go to Freedom Alliance for our vets. So I'm taking there's no earnings for me on this book. So people feel weird, like, oh, I'm buying it and it's going to Alec, and maybe I'm a competitor in some respects, but 100% of the proceeds are going to Freedom Alliance to support our veterans. They're a great organization. And I'll just say, awesome. Yeah, it's my gift. I mean, this industry's massively blessed me. So it's massive. So this is a way to give back. And if you want torture, I did record my own version, audiobook version of me reading it. So if you want to see what it's like having a 3-year-old try to read his own book, I recommend that. And then Michael's comment, I want you to throw it up there again if you can. Michael McAllister put a comment up there. This is really where I want to, land this conversation. Historically, mortgage professionals' business is not, it's created by somebody else. And what I mean by that is, even when I was originating, the business of a mortgage professional is generated through referrals from other people who are actually generating the business. So in 2003, when I started, realtors generated the business. And then I went and built relationships with realtors, and then I got the referrals. And that is a wonderful system. But that system's being challenged by the digitization and the internet first movement of society. See, when things are starting online now and you don't need a realtor or a person to shop for homes anymore because you can do it through a million apps on your phone, the sales cycle changed.
Yeah.
Consumer behavior changed. And so this comment is so important. If you want control of your business, you have to understand, where is your business coming from? And if it's not coming from your actions directly to consumers, then I feel there's a vulnerability you should be paying attention to. There's a reason Quicken's #1 in many markets. And you talk to local realtors and you talk to local loan officers, and I'm like, do you ever compete against Quicken? And they go, never. Oh, they're terrible. And my realtors will never accept Quicken, ever. And I'm like, really? Let's look at the market. They're #1. So someone's accepting them. I can pull your realtors production and be like, they took 4 deals from Quicken last quarter. And you realize what's happening. What's happening is the consumer, we humans, are taking control of the process. We are driving it. And so the answer to that is, you have to change your origination strategies to get to that consumer way up here at the top of the chain on the internet where they're starting their process. And if you forsake that, if you relegate that to a aggregator, if you choose to not to outsource that or wait for a realtor to do it, you're vulnerable. And I feel like that's a message local mortgage pros need to hear and understand, because they get to play up here too, man. You don't need a Super Bowl budget to dominate social media in your community. It's not about you becoming famous or viral. It's about you being in front of all the people digitally you want to influence and work and serve. And that takes no money. It's free. It just takes hard work and effort. But man, it's a gold mine. And that's how you take control of your business. You figure out how to build influence with your customers digitally before they start the process with another online company. That's the game. And by the way, it's freaking fun. I got loan officers doing podcasts on adult men's baseball leagues and killing it and getting deals. They're not even doing podcasts on mortgages. They're hanging out with their people, their community. Everyone knows we do mortgages. You don't need to slap them on the face and be like, no, I do loans. Everyone should know that if you're branding properly. And then all you do is hang out with people and you realize, holy crap, they have questions. They need loans answered. There's problems and you're the guy.
Interesting. So find what you're passionate about. Talk about that. Create a podcast about that. And that'll be your focus. Make sure everyone knows that you're doing loans. Make sure somehow that message actually is somehow there. You don't want to hide the fact that you're doing that, but do business with people you want to do business with. Hang out with people you want to hang out with. Interview people who you want to interview.
Man, I'm seeing local podcasts that just interview entrepreneurs and local businesses and restaurateurs, and that's all they do. And they interview all these like established restaurants in their city. And all they do is go to each restaurant. They interview the owner. They have some drinks, appetizers, and then they produce the podcast. They send that as an e-blast to their past customers instead of the crappy drip campaign stuff their company puts out. And they create this digital connection, and then they host a happy hour there for realtors, and they host a networking event for entrepreneurs and millennials at the. It's crazy where this stuff can evolve to, and it's all about making human connection. Because you as the local mortgage pro are literally at the heart of the American dream, man. You are the gateway to provide, it's unbelievable. You're the doorway to the American dream, man. And as long as you connect people and they realize there you are, they'll go through your door.
Love it, man. Dude, Alex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, my
friend.
friend.
Everyone. Awesome, man. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another Mortgage Leadership Outlook. And by the way, you mentioned Barry. Barry's going to be on next week. So next week is going to be the day after Election Day. Who knows if we're going to even know. Yeah, listen, next week is going to be the most volatile week that we've ever seen in our lives. I mean, so I figured actually, who better than Barry to kind of bring, some sense of sanity to just a crazy week. I don't know if we'll know who the winner is or who knows what's going to happen. I know one thing. If there's anyone who has any clarity, it's going to be Barry, that's for sure. All right, Alec, thank you so much for everything you just shared with us. Listen, if you're just catching this now, if you haven't catch the whole thing, go back to watch the whole thing. You got to watch this entire thing, and make sure one more plug for his book. Check out Alec's book. Alec's book he's not getting any money from this. He's donating it all to, what's the name of the charity again?
Freedom Alliance.
Freedom Alliance. Fun. Wonderful. All right, brother. Thank you so much. All right. Now I'm Andrew Berman from National Mortgage Professional Magazine. Thank you so much for watching.